Welcome to Truth, Money, and Freedom. Today is Wednesday, June 19th, 2019. Hey, sorry for the blackout, gang. Like I said, it's my work schedule. So I apologize, but once again, it should be over here in another week or two. Should be able to start doing some more videos, maybe as long as a month, unfortunately. I will be setting up accounts with BitChute, DTube, and DLive. And I cannot do that at this time. I don't have the time to do it, but it will be done soon. And I'm going to make a mirror copy of my Truth, Money, and Freedom, or I'm sorry, our Truth, Money, and Freedom channel on BitChute. So that we have a mirror copy of all the videos that we have produced since we started this new channel here back in January, February timeframe. Okay, but the main meat of the stories are not being reported. I got some interesting stories here I found on Zero Hedge. Wanted to report on them. Now, this isn't a thing where it's, Katie bar the doors, the sky is falling. However, it is interesting that in China, we have interbank market lending freezes. And they're printing money now to try and get out of that freeze. And this is something that actually started back in May. And we never heard a word about it. In fact, it's May 24th. There was a bank that was seized by the government. And it was because they had failed loans, they were totally insolvent, and left to its own devices due to the real and far higher levels of non-performing loans because the government allowed it to happen in the open, sparking fears of what comes next and when. The People's Bank of China finally panicked and injected a whopping 250 billion yuan, or 36 billion US dollars, into the financial system via open market operations. That means they sold bonds. And it fills what traders have dubbed a growing funding gap following the banking fail, or that particular bank's Baoshang, I believe is what it's called. Okay, well, when interbank market freezes occur, that's what they call a Lehman moment, and that's kind of what participated in taking down Lehman. Banks stopped lending to Lehman because banks lend to each other all the time. They sell things to each other. They buy things from each other all the time, and that's kind of how they keep their operations going. And in this particular instance, there was a Chinese bank that literally had its Lehman moment, was seized by the government, and we never even heard about it. So it may not be so much a Lehman moment, but more like a Bear Stearns moment. So I will link this story down below. I don't know that it's necessary to go through all the technicals on this. It goes through, basically the kind of loans they had, the failure rate on the loans. It's interesting, very interesting, because this is, once again, the banks are tethered together. I mean, all around the world. But China's a little bit different, and let me explain why. China does not like to have international debt. They have a lot of debt, but their debt is all to their, not all, but almost all, to their central bank. The Chinese central bank is the People's Bank of China, PBOC. So can they weather this without, basically taking down other banks? And I really don't know the answer to this because I don't know if there's derivative ties between the People's Bank of China and other banks worldwide. Now, the internal banks to China, I think, owe all their debt to their version of their central bank. I will definitely keep an eye on this story here. This is a big one here, and we haven't heard about it. Have you heard about it? I mean, I certainly haven't. It just showed up here on Zero Hedge, and it isn't, once again, the big news today. Is the Fed going to raise rates? Are they going to keep them the same? Are they going to lower them? Well, my bet is they're going to probably keep them the same. If they if they lower, they're going to lower by 25 basis points. That's a trial balloon. They don't want to lower. That's a reverse on their fiscal course. But we're out of options here, folks. Whether and by the way, it doesn't matter how much they manipulate the stock market, the bond market, the housing market, any markets. This economy is going down. And what they're going to try and do, I think, is get ahead of it this time, which is what they did not do in 2008. They waited for all the indicators to come out before they actually did anything. So they were data dependent, quote unquote data dependent, and they came in after the fact. So they came up with their mop after, there was flooding in the basement. I think they're trying to get ahead of it this time, but they're going to have to lower rates, gang, and then ultimately go to money printing. So this is what's in our future here in the United States, whether we like it or not. So they are meeting today. Today is Wednesday, June 19th, and at 2 p.m. today, we'll have our answer on what the Fed's going to do. But I suspect they're going to probably keep them the same. They're not going to lower. Okay, second story I want to cover. Another very interesting story that's not getting a whole lot of coverage is the mini-bot, which is the mini bond in Italy. Italy is releasing mini bonds that anyone can purchase. What's the point of doing these mini bonds? Is it to pay off their debt to the ECB? Is it to, shore up their horrible, like every country's horrible financial books? No. The purpose of this is to build up reserves to leave the Eurozone. Well, they just had an election of a new president over there, and he doesn't like the Eurozone a whole lot. In fact, I think we've got a couple of people elected. We should see probably Boris Johnson be in the prime ministership in England sometime soon. He also does not like the Eurozone. So the Eurozone is on a crash course. It's going to go headlong into a mountain, going 400 miles an hour. And I don't think any of us see that coming either. It's off the radar because of all the stuff going on with Iran, and anything else that's in the mainstream media. Trump rallies, Trump announcing he is going for president again, using the same exact promises he made in 2016. Oh boy, you can't make this stuff up. He's going to drain the swamp. He's going to lock up Hillary Clinton. He's going to build the wall. All the things he said he would do in 2016, he's promising to do, in this next 4 years. So, that's wonderful. That's great. Should we trust him? That's up for debate, I guess. I personally do not trust him. I do not trust he's going to do anything. I do not trust he has the back of the American people. I think he's probably controlled by very, very interesting special interests. And I'll get into that in another podcast with Chaos Craig and with Conjecture. Okay, getting back to the story here so I can wrap this up. It's talking about a boiling point. And the euro is hitting a boiling point, basically. We have France getting a little upset with the EU as well. Germany is the biggest cheerleader for the Eurozone. And I think everybody who listens to this podcast probably knows this. But a lot of countries are just finished with it. They're done with it. They're paying so much money into this body, and they're getting absolutely nothing in return. And with every trade deal that happens within the Eurozone, basically the EU gets to, a tiny slice of it, and they're just tired of it, I think. And it's gotten long in the tooth, and it's time for that body to end. It's going to end in a bang, though, because that's they set up that currency that 28 countries are currently using. England will have a much easier time leaving than other countries will because they actually maintain their own currency over there, which is the British pound. So I suspect that we'll see England leave this year. Even though they may have already left on March 29th. And that should be the subject of another podcast. That's a very interesting one. It goes into conspiracy, but there's a lot of evidence suggesting that the Brexit already happened, and it happened on March 29th. It's over. And that they're hiding it from the public. They're hiding it from the international, people there, anyone around the world, I mean, doesn't think it's happened yet, but it actually already happened. Now, the next thing for us to figure out is if they're still paying. I think it's 50 million pounds a day to the EU, which is what I believe England was actually paying. It's an extraordinary number to this body of folks that just make business that much more difficult. Um, okay, all right. Well, that's these two stories. I'll link them down below. I brought them up because they're not getting any media play whatsoever that I can tell. So I thought you guys would be interested in learning a little bit more about what's going on in the international realm of finance. Black swans, all kinds of things out there that could have a major impact on the world. Now, I don't mean to say that this story here in China could have a major impact on the world because I'm not 100% sure how the Chinese banking system works. I should know, but I don't. I do know that they don't have a lot of debt, foreign debt. Their debt is private and it's owned by the Bank of China. So they only owe money to their own, central bank. Whereas the United States, we have people that own our debt, backwards, forwards, left, and right all over the world. And so our system is quite different from theirs. But I'm curious. I mean, how much interlocking or interlinking connections there are between the PBOC and banking outside of China. That's the part I don't know. So I will look into that and make a future podcast on it. If we start seeing more bank failures in China, I will certainly bring that up because that will probably start something bigger. Okay, gang, and once again, I apologize for not being able to do so many videos lately. Like I said, this is just me in my work and what I do, and it's very busy right now, so I just don't have the time I used to. But Conjecture has mentioned he wants to do some more podcasts with me. He's got some great ideas for podcasts, and of course, I love having Conjecture on, so we'll do something with that soon. Same thing with American Man. But thanks for hanging in there with us. I apologize about the lateness of getting back to you guys and on basically what our intentions are, where we're going to set up some mirrored accounts, set up some new accounts, but that will be happening fairly soon. When it does, I'll announce it and I'll have links down below so you guys can join us. And once again, this isn't about money because we don't collect money. This is about free speech. And I do believe that the Truth, Money, and Freedom account, neck, is on the line. Because YouTube has messed with us so hard starting about 2 months ago that I think that we're probably on the chopping block. So just by bringing up the type of stories that we bring up, talking about the things we talk about, they're not happy with us. And, as evidenced by messing with our view counts, messing with whenever I upload videos, they're set to private so I can't see. And by the way, it's a special kind of private that I can't change. And what it does is it prevents me from seeing analytics on videos. So at least with analytics, I've been able to piece together how many views I had because they were manually moving down my view counts. Now I can't do that anymore either. Clearly they don't want me here. So, and I'll go to a free speech platform then where I can actually bring this information to you. Okay, gang, that's all I have for you for now. And you guys all take care. Thanks for hanging in there with us. God bless you all.